Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Learn Linux TV. You know, a lot of people ask me which distribution I use in particular. A while back, I created a video that answered that very question. In that video, I mentioned that I use Pop! OS as my daily driver Linux distro. But actually, things have changed, so I figured I would create this updated video to let you guys know what I'm using nowadays. So what I'm going to do in today's video is give you an updated look. What I'm using nowadays is actually Fedora running the Cosmic desktop. Nothing against Pop! OS, I still love that distro, but I've switched to Fedora recently because I really love the combination of Fedora and Cosmic. So what I'm going to do in today's video is show you my actual Linux rig, how I have things set up, and I'll give you a tour of my desktop. So without any further hesitation, let's just dive right in and check out my Linux installation. All right, so here we are on my computer. So what I'll do is log in and we'll check it out. So I'll click on my username here and I'm going to show you my primary desktop environment. I was just logged into Gnome when I recorded another video. I'm going to switch it back to Cosmic. Let's log in and see what's going on. And here we go. We have my Cosmic desktop installation that I've customized personally, and I absolutely love it. Now, I've already covered the Cosmic desktop in a previous video. I did an overview video of the Cosmic desktop. I do want to give you guys a disclaimer that this desktop is currently alpha. It might be beta by the time you guys are seeing this. However, it's been perfectly stable for me, and I don't really mind if it crashed or anything because I have backups of backups of backups. So I'm not really scared by alpha software. I just can't recommend that you use alpha software when it comes to mission critical deployments. But the Cosmic desktop is really coming along. I'm really enjoying it. The first thing that I'm going to say about the Cosmic desktop, that's one of my favorite things about it, is that it has the best tiling mode of any interface I've ever used. So I have tiling enabled. We see the tiling menu up here. Current workspace is tiled. So we have tiled for new workspaces as well. So I'll open up the file manager here, Cosmic Files. You'll see that it takes up the entire screen. If I open up a new window, we can see that this one moves over and makes room for the next one. Similarly, if I bring up applications, and let's, for example, open up the Cosmic Terminal, then you can see that it adjusted the screen automatically. I can hold down the Windows key and use the up, down, left, and right arrows to select which window I want to work with. And this enables me to reach for the mouse less frequently. So that's pretty cool. And the tiling feature works very well for me. I also like the fact that there's workspaces as well. I like to have each workspace dedicated to a particular project. So if I'm working on some coding right here, maybe I'll just copy or move my terminal here to workspace number 2. Maybe I'm editing config-imagig, for example. That's my automation solution. And maybe I want to reprovision the system. I could do that with sudo provision. That's an internal piece of software that I wrote for automating all of my systems. And in my case, it's waiting for package kit to finish. And that's something that I've implemented to make sure that it doesn't collide with package installations that might be happening in the background. But the basic idea here is I might be writing some code in one window, and then I switch to the other workspace for a different project. I could also have a workspace for browsing the internet. Now, I generally use browsers like Vivaldi or Microsoft Edge. I know a lot of people will be surprised that I'm not using Firefox. I do have Firefox installed, as you can see, but I generally find that Firefox, when it comes to its feature set, lags behind pretty much every browser that's out there right now. It's like it has a feature set from like 2012 or something like that. So I don't necessarily prefer Edge or Vivaldi, the two browsers that I use, but I do in this case because they have more features. So for example, I'll open up Vivaldi. You see that I had a few tabs open. I'm just going to clear these right here. I have an entire video that covers web browsers in Linux. that gives you some points about each one if you wanted to decide which browser to use for yourself. But one of the reasons why I really like Vivaldi and Edge is because of the workspaces feature. Now here, I haven't actually used Vivaldi since I've reimaged this machine, but we do have support for workspaces, which is really cool. So maybe I'll create one for admin work, and then I'll create another one for my company. So let's go to my main website, which is right here. And what's really cool about this is I switched the workspace, and all of the tabs that I have on one workspace goes away and flips to the other one. So this allows me to have different things open depending on what I'm doing. Now, what I'll do is just open up Microsoft Edge. Let's see what I have going on there. Let me go ahead and close this here. We can see what my start page looks like. Now, with Microsoft Edge, we have basically the same idea. We have these workspaces right here. These are some of the ones that I've been working with. For example, on my free time, I've been setting up a custom DVR. I just decided that I hate the DVR that Spectrum provides, and I figured I could do a better job with using software that's freely available. And that's exactly what I did. Now I have a tab for system administration. I have a tab for Learn Linux TV as well. Now, one of the things that I really don't like about Edge is that unlike Vivaldi, when you open up another workspace, it opens that workspace in a new window. It doesn't replace the current window with a new workspace. Unfortunately, it opens a new window altogether, and I absolutely hate that behavior. I really don't like that. I really like how Vivaldi does it, where one workspace replaces the other. Now, in case you're curious, I have this start page right here. I'm sure people are going to ask me about this if I don't at least talk about it. So what I'm doing here is I'm using a solution called Homarr. And what that allows me to do is create a custom start page that I can set as my home page and new tab page within my browser that has access or buttons for all of the things that I use. And this makes it very easy for me to access anything. For example, if I want to access Cloud AI, GitLab, Channels DVR, the DVR that I was just telling you guys about. I have my infrastructure section, so Akamai, DigitalOcean, pfSense, my Unify console, Tailscale, even Pi-hole. I can access any of those things right here from that start page. Under Learn Linux TV, I have various sites here that I use for different things. For example, YouTube Studio. When I go to upload a video, I can access the main website for my channel by just simply clicking on it, and here it is. And then for monitoring, I have my CrowdSec console, healthchecks.io, Linus Enterprise, NetData, and so on. Most of these I've covered on the channel, so definitely check the videos that I have if you want to learn more about these solutions, especially NetData and CrowdSec, two of my favorites. And there's going to be a complete course on NetData, as a matter of fact, that's going to be hitting this channel very soon if it hasn't already. Now, I don't use Facebook all that much anymore, but I have an icon for it. I have my social media sites right here. When it comes to storage, I have 2 TrueNAS servers. I also have access to the IPMI console for TrueNAS. I have a local sync thing button for the local host, or the version of sync thing that's running on my laptop. Sync thing is what keeps all of my files in sync between all of my computers. So anytime I add a file to one computer, it's automatically on the other computers and vice versa. I can access my sync thing server right here. And then I use Backblaze for offsite backup. So that way, if something ever was to happen to sync thing, then I still have copies of files here in Backblaze. And then I also have snapshots inside TrueNAS. I have a TerraMaster unit, a Synology, all kinds of things running on my network. When it comes to Proxmox, I can access that from right here. In fact, I'll do that right now. And here it is. Here is my Proxmox installation. I'm not going to log into this right now, but I just wanted to show you that, it works. My start page does indeed work. But all of the services that I want to access are accessible right here from Homarr. And if this is something that you guys want to see, if you want to see me do a video on how to set up Homarr so that way you can have your own start page, I might consider doing that. Just leave a comment down below and let me know if that's something that you want to see. Anyway, for now, what I'm going to do is just close out of my browser and let's continue looking at my installation. Sorry to interrupt my own video, but I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate each and every single one of you and I love creating Linux-related content for you guys. But unfortunately, producing high-quality Linux content like this isn't cheap. But if you want to help me make even more content for you guys, then consider supporting Learn Linux TV. And a great way to do that is to check out the official shop for Learn Linux TV, which was just recently updated. Inside the shop, you'll find distro-themed shirts, bags, drinkware, and more. And there's some other surprises there as well. For example, I've just introduced a mousepad that doubles as a Tmux cheat sheet. How cool is that? So check out the shop at merch.learnlinux.tv, or you could check out the merch shelf right here on YouTube. You could get yourself something really cool and support Linux learning at the same time, so it's a win-win. Anyway, thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the video. I also figured that it might be fun to check out some of the applications that I have installed, so let's do that right now. I don't think there's anything too amazing here, to be honest. If you've been following my channel for a while, you probably know most of the applications that I use. I use a lot of web apps, so there's not going to be too much here. Gnome Web is another web browser. It's a decent web browser, it really is. It's probably the only browser that has fewer features than Firefox, but it's really good for when you want to just view a website and you don't really want feature bloat or a lot going on, you just want a simple web browser. I like to think that Gnome Web is pretty much the Safari of Linux. It's just simple, it gets the job done, it's not amazing, it's not going to win any awards, but for a lot of people, they like that simplicity. If you do decide to use Gnome Web, I recommend the Flatpak version. Distributions don't always do a good job at keeping that up to date. But as you can see, there's really not a lot going on here. It does support Firefox Sync, so it at least has that. Check out the preferences. I'm not actually using Firefox Sync, but we have very general preferences here. We can set our search engine, block advertisements and pop-up windows, the things that you would expect from a web browser for the most part, other than workspaces, apparently. But again, it's your basic web browser, so nothing too surprising there. Now, Chromium BSU is interesting. It's a game that I've been playing on Linux for pretty much my entire career. It's really cool. It's pretty simple. It's an old game, but it's a lot of fun. You could tell by the resolution that it's needs to be increased a bit here. And it's creating ghost windows, which is pretty interesting. That is very interesting. The game is open multiple times. But anyway, what I'm going to do is just show this game to you. It's very, very simple. You click New Game, and you control the ship with the mouse and the left mouse button. So as you move the mouse, it moves the ship. So your mouse cursor is basically a spaceship. And the idea is you're trying to destroy these ships before they reach the bottom. You lose energy if they pass you, so you're trying to make sure that you destroy all of them. And again, it's not an amazing game, and to be honest, I'm not all that good at it. I've never been good at it, but it's just something if I want to kill some time, this is a game that I like to play. Anyway, just close out of that. Apparently it doesn't want to. I never had that problem before, but I'm going to take care of it right now. And let's see. And it's gone. Anyway, back to my applications. Frozen Bubble is another old Linux game that's existed for the entirety of my career. If you've ever played Bust-A-Move, the classic arcade game, one of my favorites, it's basically like that. You can see that the resolution hasn't really been updated. I think there's a way to increase the resolution, but what I'm going to do right now is just start a new game. And you can get the idea. If you've ever played Bust-A-Move, it's exactly the same idea. It's just a fun game. For wasting time, especially while you're waiting for something to load. I generally like to play this game. All you really do is press the left arrow and the right arrow to move the pointer, and then the up arrow to shoot a colored sphere. And you're trying to match the colored spheres to the ones that are already there. And the object of this game is to clear everything before the spheres reach the bottom. And you could tell I'm not doing a very good job here. But I'm going to try to see if I can get this over here. Let's see. Nope. There you go. So you could basically destroy all the spheres in one shot if you destroy the spheres that are holding it to the ceiling. Again, this is not a very advanced game. It is very, very old. Probably, I think I remember playing this as far back as maybe 2005 or so. Don't quote me, but it's been around for a while. It's just a great way to pass some time. Anyway, let's take a look at some other applications here. Some of these basically came with the desktop environment. So I didn't install Cosmic files that came around with the installation of the Cosmic desktop, the same with the Cosmic text editor. I like the Asunder CD ripper. I still buy CDs from Amazon, and then I rip them in OGG files, 499 kilobit OGG files, which are probably, it produces the best sound quality that you could possibly get without the sound quality or without the file being a FLAC file and taking up half your hard drive. It's a very simple application. You simply insert a CD, type the artist, album title, and then it'll scan the CD, show the tracks, and then you hit the rip button down here at the bottom, and then it copies the files to your home directory. So the reason why I like to do this is because when it comes to using streaming music services, you never really know when a provider is going to lose a license with an artist. You could be jamming out to your favorite album and then go to listen to it the next day and it's not there. But if you manage your own media, then, well, I mean, you have all the control. You don't have to live or die by a streaming company. You could basically keep your music collection to yourself. And I have over 10,000 MP3s or OGG files in my collection, which I know some of you probably have way more than that. But over 130 artists that I listen to. I love music. But you might be wondering, what do I use to listen to music? Well, for that, I use Audacious. And this is probably the closest thing to Winamp that you could find on Linux. Windows users are probably very familiar with Winamp. It's a classic music player that's been around forever, one of the most celebrated. Now, Audacious might not have all of the features, might not even look the same. And I don't have my music collection or access to it here because I'm at the studio, but I could populate this with my music files and play them accordingly, which is pretty cool. I have the Cosmic Media Player for viewing video files. That came with the Cosmic desktop. You could also use VLC, which I have right here. VLC is another one of those popular applications that's available for Linux as well. Draw.io for creating flowcharts. You can go ahead and create a flowchart. You just basically add shapes, give them a title. I can connect this one here. Then you can create lines to connect those together. Obviously, I'm not doing a very good job right now, but when I'm developing a program, or I just want to see how logic flows, I could create diagrams with draw.io, which you don't actually have to have this installed on your computer. You could just go to the website, draw.io, and just use it right in your browser and not install it. But I like to have things installed locally. I think that's better in most cases. Now, another application that I want to show off is Genie. Genie is a text editor, and it's not just a simple text editor. I mean, it kind of is. But what I really like about Genie is that you can, well, run code from it. So, for example, if I was writing a Python script or something like that, I could actually run it right from here. I have various options that I can use when I'm writing code. Lately, I use the terminal most often for writing code, but if I'm ever writing code within a text editor, a GUI text editor, Genie is the one that I use. It's not exactly Notepad++. Notepad++ is very popular for Windows users. It doesn't have as many features as that solution, but it's good enough for me. I really like this text editor. I discovered this from the Crunchbang distribution from some time back, and ever since I started using it, well, it became one of my favorite text editors for situations where I'm writing code. Now, other than that, I mean, these applications are pretty straightforward. Thunderbird for email, I'm not going to open that up. You'll see how many emails I haven't answered. I'm recording a lot of content, so that makes it hard to answer emails, but you get the idea. Darktable for photos, and then we have the other applications here. Now, I mentioned that the Cosmic Desktop is my primary desktop environment, but which one is my secondary? Well, what I'm going to do is log out. So back here at the login screen, what I'll do is click on my username and then go down here and choose a different desktop to log into. So what I'm going to do right now is log into Gnome. Gnome is my secondary desktop environment. So let's check it out. And here it is. Now, I've covered Gnome on this channel quite extensively, so there's not going to be a lot I could say here that you probably haven't already heard before. I really like Gnome's implementation of workspaces. Cosmic has a very similar implementation as well. And you know what? Gnome also has pretty decent tiling. It's just not as good as Cosmic. There are extensions that you can enable that will give you the same functionality. But by default, it's better than Mac at least, because when you tile windows together, they kind of stay stuck together, as you can see here, which makes it very easy to keep things positioned. Cosmic does a much better job when it comes to tiling, which is why that's my primary desktop environment. I feel like that really makes the difference for me. But the virtual workspaces that we have, or I should say dynamic workspaces that we have, allows us to keep things separated, just like you see right here. And just like the offspring told us, you got to keep them separated. Well, that's the idea here with workspaces in Gnome. Now, this is just an extension here. You can see some of the different things that I have access to, my TrueNAS shares and things like that, all accessible from right here. I really like how Gnome does workspaces, but other than that, it's the same computer, so you're going to see the same applications here that you saw under Cosmic. I have Darktable, GIMP, I didn't mention that, is what I use for my thumbnails and doing anything that most people would do in Photoshop. I also have HTOP installed. It's really good for checking out, your system process table, system resources, and things like that. I really love the Gnome desktop. It's just great. I know some people are very critical of it. I think it's just amazing. I love it. But Cosmic, I just like it a little bit more. So I think it's the tiling that really makes a difference for me. Cosmic is a great desktop, but if you're looking for something that's not alpha quality, I'm not really sure when Cosmic is going to be finalized, but I'm sure it'll be finalized pretty soon. But you could just use the Gnome desktop, which is completely stable and is not prone to crashing. Cosmic did crash while I was recording once, but I really don't experience that all that often. It works really well for me. And one last thing I'm going to show you, I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video. My About screen, if you're curious about the machine that I'm recording this on, and some information here. You can see my processor, the amount of memory that I have, disk space, and also the hardware model of the computer that I'm using. I'm still using my System 76 Pangolin laptop that I've reviewed previously. Definitely check out that video if you haven't already done so, if you are curious about the computer itself that I'm using. But for now, I gave you guys a quick tour of my Linux installation, and I hope you enjoyed it. And there you have it. You just saw my actual Linux installation. So I've officially answered the question, which distro is Jay using nowadays? In this video, you got to see my Fedora installation, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then please click that like button to let YouTube know. That way we might see more Linux-related content on YouTube. I would really appreciate it. In the meantime, as always, please subscribe to Learn Linux TV for the latest in Linux, and I'll see you in the next video.